In many mobile or arcade games you can see an indicator for drag actions, like shooting a golf ball. If you are interested in an easy way to achieve this with a simple line renderer, stay tuned. Without a proper indicator, it is difficult for the player to estimate the power of your drag. That's why you should think about a way to visualize it. In this example we use a line renderer to give the player a nice feedback by showing the start and the end point of the drag. Let's dive into a new project and start by adding a new game object. I will call it drag indicator. And apply a C# script to it called drag indicator script. First of all, we need some variables, so let's create them. We of course need the start position. This is where the first mouse click or touch happens. Let's call the vector3 start pos. The same we need to do for the end position. This is where the mouse pointer or finger is during dragging. Let's call this vector end pos. We will also need a reference to the main camera, so let's create a variable for this called camera. And of course we need a line renderer, so let's write line renderer and call it LR. In the start method we should store the main camera into our camera variable. Just type camera equals camera.main to do so. In our update method we now need to handle 3 different states: mouse button clicked, mouse button holding down, mouse button released. It also works for mobile games because a touch is handled as a mouse click. So let's create 3 if statements to handle them by simply writing if input.getMouseButtonDown 0, this is the moment the mouse is clicked, if input get mouse button 0, this is while holding the mouse button down, and last but not least, if input get mouse button up 0, this is the moment we release the mouse button or finger. If you wonder why it's mouse button 0, 0 stands for the left mouse button, 1 for the right one, and 2 for the scrolling wheel. So what we want to do in the different states. We want to set the start point to the position we clicked the mouse button, and then constantly update the end point to the current position of the mouse pointer. First of all, we should create a line renderer if it's not already attached. So write if lr equals null, then lr equals GameObject.addComponent line renderer. This will ensure that we won't get any exceptions. Next we will set the position count to 2, because we want to draw a line between 2 points, the start and the end position. With the method setPosition we can already set the first position, in this case 0, because that's where I start counting, to the position the mouse was clicked. Let's assign this position to the variable we created before. Write startPos equals camera.screen-to-world-point input.mousePosition. This method will transfer the mouse position to our 2D world. Now just pass the startPos as a parameter to the setPosition method. Because the camera got a Z offset of 10, we need to add this to this position. Let's create a variable called camOffset and set it to a new vector 3, 0, 0, 10. Now add this to the start position. To disconnect the click position from the local position of our game object, you should also set use world space to true. So if you press play now, you can see that you can update one position of the line renderer by simply clicking. Before we make this line even more beautiful, we need to handle the second point. So let's get back to our code and handle our dragging. While the mouse button is pressed down, we want to update the second point of our line renderer. So we need again the mouse position converted to the world space. Just copy and paste it from above. Now just type lr.setPosition1 and pass the end position. Let's press play and see what happens. Now we can click and drag and you can see the line renderer working. But if we release the mouse button or finger, it won't disappear. So in our code we also need to handle the release event. So let's just disable the line renderer when no button is pressed. Go to your mouse button up statement and add lr.enabled equals false. And in our mouse button down, add lr.enabled equals true, right after we checked if there is an attached line renderer. And that's it. Basically you got a now draggable line renderer. As you can see in the component, you can simply edit the width of the line. Let's just create our own animation curve variable and make it visible in the inspector by adding serializable field in front of it. Now we can edit the curve right here in the inspector. Let's make it big at the start and thinner at the end. If you now hit play and drag it, it almost looks good. Let's just tweak one more thing. Go back to your code and set the end cap vertices right to somewhere around 10 to make the two ends look more round. And that's it, you just created a nice visualization for dragging in your game. I hope you like my second tutorial here on YouTube. If you want to support me with future videos, just visit Patreon or subscribe to this channel. If there's any other topic I can create a video about, just let me know in the comments. See you in the next video.